This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, very good morning and good evening, everyone. Welcome to DevOps training. And so myself is Raghu, and I would be the trainer for this particular course. And so I think we have waited for a few minutes for others to join. I think we are ready to continue. Yeah. So once again, very good morning and good evening, everyone. Welcome back. So I am, having close to about, I mean to say like, quick introduction about myself, and I have close to 10 years of experience or 10 plus years of experience in IT industry, and I have, uh, close to 9 years of experience in delivering different trainings, like, so as a part-time trainer. So I'm a full-time employee all the time, but generally I do work as a part-time trainer. Okay, so I have close to 9 years of experience in that, delivered almost like 120 batches on different technologies. I think 110 probably. Okay, so but DevOps wise, we have completed almost like 39 batches, and this is 40th batch, which we are actually trying to deliver. And I've been working as a lead architect in one of the enterprise organization, which is 100-year-old company, and so I work for even like giant organizations like big product-based company like Oracle, and so a big process-wise company like JP Morgan. So which I can definitely help you in certain so scenarios basically. So I mean, my work experience would definitely be a beneficial, so to be or to this particular course. Okay, and as a DevOps engineer, almost like so closing to 7 to 8 years of experience in, or I can say like 7 plus, almost like 7.5 of experience in DevOps tools, working on DevOps area, and so yeah, definitely even that experience I can share it with you during the sessions. Okay, to be starting, I would request everyone, please hold your questions for a better demonstration. I would request each and everyone to be muted for a few minutes, because I just want to complete few slides. If we just try to interrupt in between, so probably it might take longer time than expected. So what I'll try to do is I'll just deliver few sessions, not few session, few slides in the session, and after that, end of the session, we'll definitely open for queries. And in the meanwhile, we usually try to answer the questions. If you have any or general questions, I'll be almost answering during this particular course. Okay, all right. So let's get it started. So for the agenda of this particular session is going to be so what is the story before DevOps? Okay, why DevOps came into existence is what I would like to explain. And after that, so why cloud become a mandatory part of a DevOps guy. And finally, what are the tools which we're going to discuss about? Okay, so this is what I would like to you know add to this. I would like to talk in this particular course. And first thing first, what is DevOps? Okay, so a couple of years back, when we used to talk about DevOps, there is a lot of misassumption in the market that so this is DevOps, that is DevOps, things like that. And even some percentage of the people think that, okay, so only running the Git repository or learning the Git repository, some Jenkins job, and so probably some build and release is DevOps, a kind of thing. So what people are still thinking, but I'll try to put it in a way so where okay, so it aligns to the statement of so famous company. Okay, so we'll try to do that particular way. So earlier, so so where DevOps are, prior to DevOps, where these job roles actually been there, okay, or where these jobs are, what is the business of this particular job? You need to understand that. And in the area of software development lifecycle, so the product-based companies used to make the applications Okay, so, the companies used to make the applications, or they do the development part, right? So that area is called as SDLC, or whatever they do is generally to be a part of SDLC. And in SDLC there are different methodologies that people follow. SDLC is a general term. Okay, so people is doing the development, so they can call it as SDLC. That's a general phase of any development. But in that particular area, so there are multiple methodologies people used to follow, like so I have mentioned here a few, which are something like waterfall model, or v-shaped model, or prototyping model, spiral model, iterative method, okay, agile method, whatever it is. Okay, there are different methodologies which were available in the market. And as I mentioned, a diagram actually here, so which is irrelevant to this situation, but understanding wise, so that diagram will really help you in understanding. So everywhere, every requirement, I cannot choose a single tool, right? So I have to choose the tool based on what my requirement is. The same way, the methodologies wise also, they have to choose based on the development they are making. All right, so that is what they have to do. And on that particular perspective, there are two methodologies which are very famous. One is waterfall model, and there are other models as well, but comparatively very less with these particular two number. And then agile methodology, or agile development, whatever it is. So waterfall methodology and agile methodology, so these two stands the highest so consumption of methodologies in the SDLC. Okay, so waterfall model is a kind of old model which people used to which people used to follow earlier. Okay, and now ultimately industry is transforming into agile methodology. That's fine, but let's talk about, okay, these two methodologies a little bit. And starting with waterfall methodology. In waterfall model, so the name itself is telling you it's a water flow from top to bottom, right? The same way, so here here the things are going to happen from top to bottom only. Okay, so if I just go for yeah, if you just try to see here, it is actually coming from top to bottom. I mean, you cannot go reverse back, basically. Okay, if you try to go back, and again you're actually doing the same work again and again. So SDLC that is what SDLC is going to um, you know um, that is what SDLC sorry, the SDLC is going to do. Okay, and uh, okay, so there are certain advantages with the waterfall model, so which is specific deliverable. So that means what you want to deliver, so you don't so you don't go out of the scope, and you be very specific about the deliverable, and it is even good for planning. But whereas certain disadvantages are also there. So what are the disadvantages is, you don't have any backstage, as we talked about. If you go back and you have to redo the things, you have to do a lot of redo the things, and then okay, so it is an expensive way ultimately. So if you go going back again to redoing the work, it is more time means more investment you have to do in the development, so more cost. And as well as this waterfall model is designed for big projects, so it take 2 to 3 years of time to complete the projects. Okay, so such kind of big projects usually used to use SDLC. But after 2 to 3 years, are you sure that our product is going to be are we sure that our product is going to be um, you know um, sorry, yeah, are we sure that our product is going to be successful? We're not sure, right? So after 2 years, I'm going into the market and saying that, hey, I have this product. By the time already, so some other people might have already, been into the market. So that is what the problem. Okay, so those are the problems which waterfall model is facing. Other than big companies, small companies, so there was no scope of, so using waterfall model. Okay, and but whatever it is, waterfall model was there from pretty long time. I can say, like, from 1990s almost. Okay, this methodology is being used to till late of 2000s. Okay, or close to 2010. This waterfall model is widely used. And there used to be a lot of teams actually work along with the developer in the waterfall model. So there used to be a guy called as build and release team. There are a couple of engineers who used to work, and they are called as build and release engineers. And this boy's responsibility is to, once the developer make the code, so they compile the code in parallel and say that, if there are any issues, they tell to the developer, and and so certain phases will happen there. And the same way, like QA comes into picture once product is ready, so the QA comes into picture and QA checks the product, and if it is not working, developer will make the change, and build and release will compile, and the QA again checks it out. Okay, so a lot of phases happens out there. And the middleware team, so middleware team is basically once the product is ready and we want to deploy our application. So the application is actually can be delivered to the customer in multiple ways. So you give the software and they download the software, install the software and run it. So that is one way. And today, not even today, okay, from almost a 1.5 decade, so there is a buzzing word happening in the market, which is a cloud computing, right? So that means, like, so service oriented. So what is a cloud is nothing but, if you consume a service, is nothing but is a cloud. Okay, so I am consuming, let's say I want to do a business, and I want to open a small store. I just open the store. Okay, so now today digital transaction is happening more, rather than I go and maintain my own portal for payment transactions, right? So I consume a service and pay to that particular. So let's say today we are seeing, like, um, we are trying to uh, you know um, I think, yeah, one second. Like, are you able to see my screen? So I'm just having a slide which is red color operations with waterfall model. Like, can someone confirm, please?
Yes, Raghu.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Great. Great. Thanks.
Yes, Raghu, we are able to.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So I just want to open a small store, and you know, so one second. So I just want to open a small store. I just want to, I want to, instead of maintaining my own servers, doing the digital transaction. So today, actually, I'm trying to consume the services. Okay, Paytm is there. A lot of things are there, right? You have government-related applications. Okay, like Beam, or so whatever it is. Today, we're just consuming the service and paying how much we want to pay to that guy. That's all. We're done. Okay, so that is how the business is moving. So service oriented, and that's completely cloud, we call it as. Just consume the service and pay whatever we want to do. And in order to do that, so the applications, delivering to the customer is in multiple ways. You give the software, they install in the local environment and do that. But today, that is not the business. So today, actually, we are trying to, not today, actually, from a decade or 1.5 decade I'm talking about, right? So the business is all on the web scope. Okay, web-based applications. You take Gmail, Facebook, Amazon.com. Okay, so whatever I mean, just talking about e-commerce and social websites, but even the enterprise world also, so consuming the services in the web-based one, so which is so easy. And that's where middleware team is needed to deploy the application and to use it. And that's where even, so if it is our own internal product also, at least, let's say Amazon develops the Amazon Amazon e-commerce web portal, so they have to deploy it into the servers, and there's a team who manages that, which is called as a middleware team. Okay, assuming they're following the waterfall model. And after that, so we used to have sysadmin teams to run the servers, and DBA guys. Anyhow, a database will be there for any application, and DBA guys are also mandatory. So these guys are actually, so work together. And even there can be some teams as well, like security team. Okay, so operations team, so monitoring team basically. Okay, so there can be other teams as well, depends upon the project. And yeah, so used to have all these particular teams. Now, which is fine. So in the waterfall model, these teams are working fine, and companies used to deliver the product, which is also really good. Okay, so and ultimately, so this waterfall model cannot be, as I mentioned, so the waterfall model cannot be um used with are used by small companies. Okay, so if you have bigger companies, so then you need to think about if you have big companies, then you sorry, if you have small companies, you need to think about less capital investment. So that means I cannot invest for 2 years or 3 years on a product. I cannot come back, come and say that, okay, I have this particular product into the market. Okay, that's not how the business is running today. So we want to be first in the market, and we want to be the first one to sell the idea. If you are the first person to sell the idea, definitely you're going to get more and more so business. So that's where so I just so that's where we just uh, so get more customers, and we want to be the first person into the market. And to do that, waterfall model is not the one which is going to help us. Then who is or what methodology can help you over there is, which is agile methodology. In agile methodology, so you'll be having a shorter releases, so we can say, like, so today you take WhatsApp is completely on agile. If you know WhatsApp, it's on agile. You take any mobile application, it would be on agile only. So every day you get so many updates to your mobile. So today I turned on my mobile, so just plugged in the charger. Plugged in the charger in the early morning. I see 22 updates are available. So why those 22? It's not one day. It's not a one day thing. Every day you'll get some other updates. Why are you getting those many updates? Because small changes is what being pushed by the is being pushed by the companies to the customers. Okay, so of course mobile is a place where we need to download an application and use it. That's fine, but generally talking about, so even in the enterprise, okay, even in the enterprise, so the deployments happens very frequently. If you take Netflix as an example, everyone knows Netflix as a portal, which, to say, like, it's a web page where you can watch movies and other things, right? So where that Netflix does, almost every second one deployment they'll do. So small comma or small dot also would release to a build, and they check whether it is working or not, a kind of approach. Okay, so that's how so many builds happens in the agile methodology very frequently. If you have so many, okay, and we start with a small one, you take WhatsApp as a best example. So the initial idea of WhatsApp is to deliver the application over the to deliver the not the application to deliver the data over deliver the message over data. You want to data deliver the message over data. That's what the initial idea. They didn't stop there, they enhanced it. Okay, they did a lot of enhancements, right? So they did put, like, tick mark, double ticks, blue ticks, added image support, video support, gif support. Okay, some blah 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 blah. Okay, and they're not stopping, even the features are coming up, right? So that is agile. So you will start the business with a small idea. Ultimately you add so many things, like Paytm, where it started with. Paytm, it started with a um, Paytm, it started with a wallet, and basically small e-commerce also. So as far as I know, I'm not sure earlier, but as far as I know, Paytm started with wallet services as well as the e-commerce services. Okay, and today Paytm, how many features they have? So they added, so everything into that. Almost whatever you try to consume, electricity bills, you can pay it on the petrol. Okay, so whatever you can book movie tickets, you can book air tickets, train tickets, bus tickets, everything, you name it. You have almost all the so utilities which are available there. So they just add, and they're not stopping. And whatever it comes into future, they might add it in there. And ultimately, okay, so, and on the application perspective, you'll be having different things in the application as well. So you will be having to send a push notification. You get a notification in your mobile. To get that, you will be having a huge number of servers out there. And to get an email, so sometimes some services, sometimes, so you usually have some, so application for each and everything. And those are small. Paytm is a big application, no doubt in that, but it has a lot of small components, and everything didn't came in the day one. So they all add, so day by day. And on the Paytm app, you see, flight tickets as a single, on the same portal or same application. You click on that, but that might, in the back end, it might be a different application who is handling the, or which is handling the, so tickets of a, or handling the A tickets. Okay, that can be a different application altogether. Okay, so that's how. they do the things. Okay, so while doing the development, actually they make small changes and release it to the customer. Enterprise also does the same thing. And yeah, so usually a planned release can happen in 2 to 4 weeks, is generally what we call it as a sprint. Out of every sprint, we might get an output to deliver an application to the customer. Okay, so that means a feature can come out of 2 to 4 weeks. That depends upon your design. So generally 2 weeks people will follow, 1 month they follow. You take Jenkins as a website, they follow 3 months standard. Okay, it's all depends upon your process, and you deal that. Okay, and so in such short frequencies, let's say you take 2 weeks as a frequency, a very standard one. If you take 2 weeks as a frequency, every 2 weeks you are going to get a release. And then so we need to release the application to the customer over the web application. That means we need to deploy our application. And so that is what we want to do. And advantages of our agile methodology is agility. And so that means it is the advantage itself is agility, basically. Okay, so it's reduces the time, okay, or short intervals, you can understand that way. And feedback, so you release a small feature and you understand whether it is working fine or not, so the customer will provide the feedback. Even on the mobile applications, the lot ask you feedback. A lot of the applications ask for the feedback. Basically, based on that, they tune the application. Okay, they tune the changes. Okay, so something like UX, user experience, CX, customer experience. So things are there. Okay, so UI, yeah, UI experience or user experience, whatever they call it. Okay, so they might release a feature. So it's all depends upon if so it's all depends upon the user experience. So some mobiles, they give a swipe right to answer the call. Some mobile vendors, they offer customizing the Android, basically, and they provide swipe left to answer the call, swipe down to so do the message, and it can be changed from mobile to mobile as well, right? So kind of thing. So it's all depends upon their user experience. So there usually a separate team on the UX part, so they design that particular things. And okay, so they expect the so your feedback. Based on that, they understand the analytics. Okay, so these many users are complying this and all, so that's a separate part altogether. But feedback is what is really important from the customer in agile, and based on that you do that. And you release a small application and it is not working out, in the next few hours you make a fix, and again you do the release. So in a day you might go with 2 to 3 releases also sometimes. Even in the critical applications also you do that. Okay, because this is agile, there is no standard format. Okay, everything should go in a single time. No, it can go with small changes as well. And quality is going to get definitely increases, because you're going to get a satisfied customer. So let's say you release the thing and the customer complained that, okay, so this is the issue, and you fix it immediately and you try to release them and he's happy. So what in a waterfall model, whatever your issue is, they used to release releases or updates in once in 6 months, once in 1 year, like that. They used to get the updates because that's a big product. They want to change the changes, and so again all the things they have to do and check it out and everything. So it should you know um, to release actually 6 months, 1 year it used to take. Microsoft Windows is the best example for waterfall model. Okay, if you remember what Windows XP operating system, I'm not sure everyone is aware, old operating systems. So till Microsoft XP, they used to give a service packs only. There were no updates from the internet directly. The last releases they have given, but still, if generally understand the XP, every time we used to get a service pack, and that particular service pack you install, and then you get the updates to the operating system. So that is how they were releasing in agile, in waterfall model. Everyone does the same. Everyone does the same way. Okay, and so that is how. Even okay, so if you take banking applications, they might be still in waterfall model. Okay, some of the banks, they might be in waterfall model. Especially I use Citibank, HSBC, HDFC, and ICICI in general. So 4 banks in general. So HSBC and Citibank, so they always send out a communication to me, so that there is going to be 4 hours or 5 hours downtime. So in the off business hours, probably in the midnight, they continuously so once in a month or 2 months, I usually see the message that so cities having downtime or HSBC is having some downtime in this planned downtime and things like that. Okay, what they might be doing? So they might be doing the patches and as well as the application deployments probably. But I never seen ICICI so sending some downtime to the customer saying that okay to me I never seen ICICI because ICICI if you see the web portal itself, the application itself, okay, they changed a lot actually. Okay, so when 4 or 5 years back you didn't have those many features on the ICICI bank portal. I think it was like 4 or 5 years back they shifted the complete application, I believe that time. So they just entered into microservices. So today, I was mentioning about small cell components, right? All those are microservices. Okay, they add a service to the portal, they add a small service to the portal. So that's how they do that. So that's where you never get a downtime as well. You never get a downtime because the deployment happens in a very minimal time. Deployment happens in a very minimal time, and that's how. So they never send out a notification to me saying that there is a downtime. Okay, so that is how the advantages of agile methodology, and you have a happy customer, right? So yeah, and so with agile methodology also the developer is doing the agile methodology, so you don't have any things with you in the agile methodology, but developer is following this particular methodology, and ultimately we need the teams again to do this. We need teams to do these operations again. People started using the same teams which were there in waterfall model, like you say are seeing, like build and release team, QA team, middleware team, all these teams. And the problem is there are this is causing some problems. What is the problems? Okay, so industry has found out is, so there are three major points from Accenture is one of the one of the um, bigger service-based company, so which offers services to most of the companies. And that's where so they went with the customers and understand, and they did a survey basically. Okay, and so they found out three important points out there. So more time operations team, so which the other teams I was talking about, right? Builder list team, QA team, sysadmin team, middleware team, database team, or some other teams, or the operations team, so are taking more time so for testing and other things than the development is doing that than the developer is doing the development, which is really funny, right? So developer is the person who will make the product, and he should take the time, but ultimately the operations team is taking more time. So that is really funny. So so what are the speed the developer is making the progress in the development, the operations couldn't able to do that because there are different teams. And so there is an issue, they'll say that so developer has developer is he's waiting on the developer. And so sometimes this QA guy will say that they are waiting on the so sysadmin guy to do the provisions on servers. All these in so pinpoints will be there in the organization. Okay, if you are having different teams, and that's where it leads so much time there because there was no collaboration properly. And even okay, so sometimes so operations team take more time because they do the manual efforts. They are doing the manual efforts. So I still remember with my personal experience. Okay, so Southwest Airlines is one of the biggest airlines company in USA. We used to have a customer for XYZ company. I don't want to name the company, but so we used to host their mobile application. Uh, you know, um, uh, so we used to host their mobile application with our product. So we have our product, and we used to do that. And in order to do that, so I still remember there used to be 64 servers to run their application. So usually, I'm talking about 7 8 years backstory. And that time, so we want to do the deployment, so we take the downtime. So of the business hours, so probably sometime in midnight time off, or Saturday midnight or Sunday midnight time off, US time. Okay, so we used to take the downtime of 2 to 3 hours, and then we start doing the deployments. And funny thing is, if through 2 to 3 engineers are there, and they used to okay, so split the number of servers with them, and they started doing the things manually. Okay, so when I joined the company, I was nowhere. Okay, so they told something, and it is happening something else. Okay, so then what I did is so I did some automation. So I just written some shell scripting, and so using the shell scripting, At least when I am in shift, I'm safe. I don't have, or I don't want this manual work. I made some scripting, and it's pretty simple. Okay, so there are 64 servers. You just loop the servers, just to do the deployment and happily relax, watch it what is happening, instead of doing it manually. And so yeah, I used to do that, and even my so peers are started adopting my script. And one day, so while the lead, who are there for that particular application, and so he looked into that particular script and said, no, don't use the script because can cause some script can cause some mistakes. Okay, I was laughing. And okay, and ultimately they don't want to do that. They're scared actually, because so you're being billed, so number of hours for doing that particular deployment. And if you go to the customer and say that we're doing the deployment in 10 minutes, and customer is happy, but ultimately your billing goes down. So that's what the worry of the management. Okay, so yeah, that is how the things were running from pretty long time. And so most of the companies, even so this is one scenario to so they behold that particular position. That's what they try to do. And even some people doesn't want to do automation, or some people doesn't know automation. Okay, so some people doesn't have vision. Whatever it is, people used to do manual efforts. I have my personal experiences. Okay, a lot of manual efforts people used to do. Okay, and they ultimately causing a lot of issues. If you miss a small space in the configuration, you add as additional line in the configuration by mistakenly, to dig into that issues, it takes again hours and hours of time. So a lot of downtime is being extended all the time, so because of the manual effort. So that's what even Accenture has pointed out. Okay, so and finally the different values. Okay, so IT development is having say different values because they want to release the feature to the customer because their business is impacting. And operations team is actually not worried about that because they don't have the direct interaction with the customer, and they doesn't know the seriousness. And ideally, uh, you know uh, the values are completely different between and these guys. Okay, and so that's what the problem is, okay, happening. And ultimately a lot of talk happened in so many communities and things like that. So back in 2000, 2008, 2009, so people started, or I can say 2008, I believe. Okay, so or 2010 to precise, sorry, 2007 to be precise, very particularly. So they came up with something called as DevOps, but not implemented properly. But so people started have big companies, or communities have some idea of, okay, doing some automation of doing the things. And okay, so they formed a particular team all together. So what the solution people came up is, why different teams? So they emerge into a single team. And that team, they're calling it as DevOps team. That's all. So if you're doing QA, let's say QA, your job is QA or tester, so probably you do some testing, right? It's a role. So the same way, DevOps is not a technology, it's just a role which you do in the company. And the role might changes from one company to another company. Okay, so some company might use Amazon, some company might use Azure, some company might use something. Okay, some company might use Jenkins, some company might use SVN. Lot many different git, so different things will be there from company to company, process to process, project to project. All the things is different. Okay, so but emerging into a single team, and that's a role of a single person is becoming now. So there are used to be 5 6 persons who is using the job, or who is doing the job, but as a single person, can you do that? And the answer is yes, because we're not going to do the manual way of doing the things. We are going to do in an automated manner, which is by using tools. Okay, that's where you see a lot of tools inside DevOps. You take the syllabus of the DevOps, or you always end up seeing a lot of many tools, right? So that's where a DevOps guy is going to be a role, which is going to be, releasing the applications in a faster manner, and using some tools in the behind the scene, and even worrying about the customer feedback and things like that, because he's a part of development team now. In agile in agile, so usually the engineer is also part of going to be the development team. So all the development teams will be having the calls. You will be the part of that particular calls. You are the part of a development team, but you do the engineering job. That's all. Okay, to release the application in a smooth manner. Now coming to the roles and responsibilities of the DevOps engineer. So what is your roles and responsibilities is going to be is, Or first of all, if you try to understand what is DevOps, so this is not my statement. So if you just go and try to keep in internet, what is DevOps, Amazon Web Services. Okay, they give you a statement for DevOps. So this is a simple statement. DevOps is a combination of cultural philosophies, practices. Okay, cultural philosophies is what I was talking about. So earlier used to have, you used to not Agile tells you a different thing. Okay, so Agile tells you to own the problem. So earlier, so if there is an issue, so your manager or someone assign you some work and do that, but today it is not the case. So you have to go and own the task, and you have to own that particular work, and you have to take care. Okay, that is what the Agile tells you. Okay, and yeah, I had to go there and do that. I had to go there and do that. Okay, so that's where you have to change your culture, basically, how you were earlier. You have to change your things a little bit, and even the practices. So earlier, earlier earlier there used to be build and release team, or let's say QA team. Assume there is a QA team, but today QA is not at all finding the job other than some manual testing. Probably manual is still running because the name itself is manual, cannot be completely automated. So manual jobs are still there, but automation like Selenium jobs are there, but comparing the number, it is very getting narrowed. It is getting narrowed too much. Okay, so that's where this challenge is coming. Okay, so I mean sorry, that's where okay, the QA is going down. Why it is going down? So if you understand, the practices is changing. So there is something called as TDD. Okay, so TDD is what the scope of the market today. Okay, TDD is the practice most of the people is doing. So what is TDD is test driven development. So that means, so they're making the development in such a way that, so they doesn't really require a separate phase of testing, or basically, so separate role of testing, and the development itself, they made some unit cases or API. Basically, they are making small components. They make the test cases in parallel along with the development. So TDD is another thing. Or so you just go for developer centric is another culture. Okay, so developer centric culture is another one, okay, which is adopted more. And even GitOps, okay, GitOps culture, GitOps DevOps culture. Okay, so so GitOps is generally another one which is more consumed in the which is more happening in terms of practices. The practices are changing, okay, or even adopted more and more best practices. And ultimately, um, okay, so ultimately, your job is going to be, so let me rephrase my words. Everyone do I mean everyone does their own job. Okay, so the funny thing I can tell you is, earlier there used to be a build and release guy. Okay, and the build and release guy used to do the merging. Okay, so the merging of the repository of the code. Okay, the code, the developer A makes some code, developer B makes some code. So together we can call it as an application. Probably you need to merge the code. Okay, in order to merge the code, there's a third person comes into picture who is a build and release guy, and he comes and tries to merge, and there is a conflict, and he cannot do anything because he's not a developer. He doesn't know which code to keep. Developer A code is correct, B code is correct, or so what needs to, he cannot justify. So then what he does is he call both the persons into the call and do the merging. They talk and told the decision this guy will do. Is it really necessary? Can't the two guys actually can't they take care on themselves? Yes, they can take care of themselves. And is this build and release guy is really needed? No, put him away, and his job is no more in the market, right? So yeah, so that kind of, so practices you need to adopt, and the best practices you need to adopt, and that's what is DevOps is telling you. Okay, culture basically. And so earlier, yes, build and release engineer is needed, because earlier we used to use some version control systems like SVN, and in SVN we usually don't give the access to the developers, to merge the branches and all. But today you have Git, and Git gives you a lot of flexibility in doing the merging, even by the developer directly. So you can delegate the access, basically. That's what I'm trying to tell. So but SVN was lagging in that particular area. But whatever it is, so the practices are changing. Okay, so old legacy ways versus new ways, and in DevOps, okay, so certain things changes. And even the important point over here, so DevOps is a combination of cultural philosophies and practices and tools that increases an organization ability to to deliver applications and services at a high velocity. So that's what you need to try to understand. Okay, that is really important. Okay, and finally, evolving and improving products at a faster pace than the organization using traditional software development and infrastructure management process. This speed, enables organization to serve better their customers and compete more effectively in the market. But whatever it is, the first statement is important. Okay, so the combination of cultural philosophies, practices, and tools that increases an organization's ability, okay, and deliver your applications and services at the higher velocity. Okay, that is what you have. Okay, give me 1 second. Yeah, sorry. So now that is what the DevOps means. So don't we so what is the story I have talked so far is not aligned to this statement. So what is DevOps? I just kept it in internet. And what is DevOps? I just got Amazon Web Services statement. Okay, so I just took the AWS statement, Amazon. So you can just see here, this is the amazon.com/DevOps. What is DevOps? So this is the simple statement I just copied from there. So DevOps is a combination of culture, philosophies, and practice. Okay, so, and whatever the story I talked about earlier, isn't it aligning to this? So you need to, okay, use tools. Okay, you need to change your practices, and you need to change your philosophies, all those things, right? So as an engineer, okay, you need to take care of all those things. Okay, so now what is your roles and responsibilities? It's a 2-point agenda, simple. You have to release your application smoother. Okay, end to end, your application deployment has to happen in an automated manner. That is your first role, and ensure the application which you delivered is having 100% uptime. Okay, so yeah, so ensure your application is having 100% uptime. So you need to maintain the application as well as you have to deliver the application. That's the role of your DevOps engineer. Okay, so some cases it might be split into two parts. You deliver only the application in a smooth manner, and whereas maintenance can be done by some other team, like you have SRE culture, and again so site reliability engineering. So they do the deployments and maintain the application, but you make the automation. So that kind of culture is also there in some companies. But generally talking about, so DevOps engineer, your role is ensuring your application has to be released in an automated manner. Whatever the automation you need to make, you have to make that, and as well as you have to deliver your application you have to maintain your application with 100% uptime. So that is what your general roles and responsibilities. And the 3 points I have mentioned over here, which is smoother operations, so end to end, simply automated without any issues. And and automation is a key factor, by the way, to do that. Yes, of course. And in order to do that, okay, so your infrastructure also should be supported. Okay, so you have a car with, let's say, so some a nice capacity. Let's say you have some 300 okay, or let's say 3.0 engine, and so you have let's say 250 bhp, and your tires are not so circular, and if the tires are square, so then you get the performance, obviously, right? You'll not get it. Okay, so it has to be, okay, started from the scratch. Just so might be a funny point, but just it needs to be done on the very wherever you're up, it has to, your automation and your ability should start from scratch. Then only you can make so better building. Okay, so kind of approach. So that's where your infrastructure is a key component, and in order to achieve the deployments and things like that happens in minutes, okay, your infrastructure also should be supported, and it is really important. Okay, and the infrastructure is also a very key component to delivering the product much faster, and we are responsible for delivering the application of 100% of the application. So let's say I am using a physical server, my application is hosted on the physical server, my physical server goes down, my application goes down. All right, so instead of that, if I use some virtual machines, probably it allows me a flexibility to move the machine from one machine to another machine. So whereas within, let's say, 30 seconds or 1 minute of time, I get my application back. Or in the meantime, if you just maintain, so 1 or 2 servers, and you maintain some load balancer and you do that, that's more better, right? And let's say if I want to, so let's say my business is increasing, all of a sudden I want 2 more servers. Okay, so again I have to provision the servers. That takes time. Rather than that, if that provision is also happening automatically, and so getting into attached into the load balancer, everything in an automated manner, that's beautiful. Okay, and that's where, okay, so you need to use your provisioning of infrastructure in a better way, and that can be done by only by the cloud services. Okay, that can be made by the cloud softwares or services, and that's where we are going to use a cloud as a part of DevOps. Okay, so DevOps role is inevitable, or cloud is an inevitable role in DevOps, actually, or I can say like technology in DevOps. Okay, so cloud itself will not give you the DevOps. So cloud is a mandatory thing to everyone. Okay, so even though you are a developer, you are a engineer, you are a, let's say you are a AI guy or ML guy. Okay, so cloud is mandatory knowledge for everyone. It's like a developer C programming is, however, it is mandatory. Okay, so in today's world, cloud isn't mandatory knowledge for everyone, but cloud will not give you the job. That's what you need to understand. Most of the people I have seen is they just learn the cloud and they think that, so that AWS certification course, the first course, whatever they do, will give you the job. That's 100% wrong. But that knowledge should be used in your existing role, and you have to market that existing role along with the cloud that gives you the job. Okay, that's a lot of market misconception happening in the market. Okay, so AWS only simple cloud certificate course will not give you the will not give you the job. Okay, so that's what you need to understand. Okay, so but cloud is a mandatory component, by the way. So without cloud also, you will not get a job today. Okay, so that is how is happening in the market. All right, so now cloud and DevOps are together, so that is the reason even our syllabus is designed with cloud and DevOps. Okay, and cloud offer different services, by the way. So cloud offers services like infrastructure services, PaaS services, SaaS services. Okay, so different services. If you are taking an infrastructure simply, so that is an infrastructure service, or if you are taking a platform service. Okay, so probably Kubernetes is one of the one. So just take the platform, and on top of that you have to run your application. So that is platform service. Whereas you have SaaS services like so something like S3 bucket, so where you just deploy your application, I mean to say like just upload your code or the images or whatever the static content you give that. So that's a direct SaaS service. You don't need to manage anything after that. Just upload that. That's all. Okay, like that you have different services out there. Okay, and Amazon offers. Okay, and sorry, any cloud offers different services. And if you look for the cloud, the cost is going to reduce 50%, and there is more adoption of cloud in the market because of the cost. Okay, if I want to run, see, let's say I talk about the same thing, right? I want to open a small business in a small shop, probably, let's say, and I want to sell some products, and I want to sell that particular I want to sell my products whatever are there, and I want to do the digital transaction. So let's say, if I want to do that, in order to do that, if I maintain there my own what we call own data center to run that particular transaction, so then I require a rack, and I require a space, I need to buy a server, and I have to maintain engineers to doing that. Mine is a very small shop. Okay, I cannot run that much infrastructure. So but if I can use a service like Paytm, as we're talking about, we're just consuming and we're paying it that much. Okay, if I maintain my own data center, so the cost whatever I'm getting, so with the cost, if I consume the service, it is very not even half, it can be even more and more and more and less. Okay, so that's how the service consumption is okay better than so maintaining your own things. And that is how the cloud advantages are coming into picture. Okay, and the cost is a very important factor. And you name the scalability, cloud provides that. Productivity, cloud provides that. Speed, of course, yes. Performance, and it is there. And security also, you can trust those particular cloud vendors. Okay, so that is how you have different cloud vendors. And if you look into the market statistics, okay, there are if you look for the numbers of the market, okay, definitely Amazon is leading in the market, still leading. So Azure is competing. So probably in 3-4 years, it might take 3-4 years more to be to the same number of Amazon. By the time Amazon can also increase, we're not sure. So at least if I see the number today, that number can be reached in 2 or 3 years. But by the time Amazon also can increase a little bit more. Okay, so but whatever it is, the leader in the market is Amazon if you compare with others, and that's where okay. So we are also choosing a cloud for our syllabus, which is Amazon Web Services. So our course is going to have DevOps tools plus Amazon Web Services, which are required for DevOps related things. And if you look into the market trends, basically, most of the trends in the DevOps roles in the market, okay, definitely will be having, cloud as a mandatory thing. So let's say if I just go to Naukri.com, which is a website, job portal website, and if I put so let's say a DevOps engineer out there. So if I say DevOps engineer, so you can see this. Let's look for high level roles. This guy is asking Docker, Python, that's okay. And so you see this DevOps shall Ansible on AWS he's asking, and this guy is asking anything, AWS is asking, and this guy is asking anything. So configuration management, probably if you open we'll see that. So he's also asking for cloud, okay, which is AWS. Okay, and so let's try to this guy. Okay, and you will see cloud as a minimum thing. Team city shell scripting power. Okay, this guy is not asking anything. Okay, probably only pure DevOps, and pure DevOps in the so old kind of DevOps. And I mean to say, like, you can just go for next one, and this guy is the same one I opened. So Terraform he's asking. Terraform is there means definitely the cloud is there. Okay, so without a cloud, Terraform is of no use. So you didn't mention, might be probably there, but whatever it is, if you just look for, okay, 90 to 95% of the job. So today, if we talk about, so you do require, so cloud. So this guy, cloud. Okay, SAP. This is a job from SAP company, right? So that's how, if you look for the trends, it is mandatory to have a cloud in your profile. When you have cloud in your profile, you are, your rating, or basically, so your rate of your profile will go high. Okay, chances of getting more salary and so more offers is more and more if you get it. And as well as you look for the trend into the market. So DevOps is one of the current current technology which is really booming in the market, and almost like 3-4 years, from 3-4 years market has matured a lot. So at least 3-4 years back, okay, people doesn't know really anything, so they just come into the DevOps saying Git, okay, Jenkins also, if I ask something, they said just say that's a simple job. Okay, so the people are thinking might be that is DevOps, but people now today is maturing, and even our courses also matured. Okay, so initially people has misleaded, some few people has misleaded the market trainings. Okay, so teased only small components and things like that. Okay, so people are still thinking that that is the only DevOps, but but our course is actually completely automated way. So we drive with project from day one. We keep a project from day one, and we'll drive from we drive on the perspective of project, and that's where we do end-to-end end-to-end automation basically. Okay, so I'll show you that in a minute. And after that, so yeah, so currently okay, DevOps pay in the market. I'm not going to tell anything from my own. I always need statistics. I myself, if I want to trust something, I look for market statistics. Someone come and say to me that, okay, so okay, from next year DevOps jobs are not going to be there. Probably he had his own justification, but I cannot trust that particular person. And I go to the internet and type it, and you get the answer. Okay, so DevOps pay in DevOps, okay, salaries. DevOps salary, if I give, so you can see here what you're getting. So this is okay, we're getting Indian market. Let's look for Glassdoor. So Glassdoor, this is only the people submitted. Let's put like USA. Yeah. So the average DevOps engineer salary in USA is 130 grand. That's a too much amount actually in USA. And so the entry level and even the experience, people might make it to 200 grand. Seriously, 200 grand US salaries is highly paid. Okay, so highly paid, even in India it is highly paid. So probably in Glassdoor, okay, so people who are submitted is not, so seniors are, over here is always highly paid. Okay, so I'm the example. I'm always like, so three times, four times the normal, so the normal, like Linux admin or, so normal sysadmin or normal DevOps, normal build and release or normal QA guy with, 10, 11 years of experience. Okay, so I am, so four times more than them. Okay, so because I'm a DevOps engineer and I have been there in the market for a pretty long time, and I'm a senior definitely. Okay, so I'm getting that much amount. So sitting in India, okay, I'm earning almost like, so how US people are earning out there. Okay, and whatever they're saving, I'm saving it here, simply sitting even here as well. Okay, so that much pays are there in DevOps. Okay, so no doubt in that. The only thing market needs is skill. So if you have skill, so today the recruitment is also happening, a lot of technical recruitment. Okay, earlier, so what recruiter used to do is, if we say that we want some positions, we open some recs in the company, and it usually goes to the recruiter, and recruiter will never understand our okay, our requirements. So he'll put it in the Naukri or somewhere. Okay, this is what looking, pull the resumes and dump it to us. But today, we're not accepting that way. So we are actually taking in a recruiter itself is going and, reviewing your profile. So he looks for your LinkedIn profile, he looks for your Facebook profile, he looks for your okay, basically, yeah, LinkedIn and Facebook is generally what they refer, and as well as they look whether you have any GitHub accounts, okay, which you are anything contributing or really doing something in the GitHub. Personally, you're doing something. Okay, they look for. So trust me, they all look for this. Okay, so sometime back, so very long back, I can say 7, 8 years back, I got a job in Malaysia. So do you know how I got the job? No interview, no single question. So I have a Stack Overflow. You know Stack Overflow, right? I have bunch of answers and bunch of questions answered in Stack Overflow. I have some score in the Stack Overflow, and the manager actually, while doing the interview, so he just asked me what is your, so what is the skills, in the meanwhile he just went and looking into the profiles, so probably kept my name in Google, so Stack Overflow showed up, and he seen that. Okay, so he asked me, okay, so is this your profile, and said yes, and interview is done. I got the job. Seriously. Okay, no more questions. Just seeing that one, and because that clearly shows that you're contributing, and you're answering something that knows you're an expertise, and no more questions are really required. So that's where okay, so so people are trying to recruit as well. Okay, so people need skill. If you have skill, definitely you get definitely high paid. I don't think so today, so people are hesitating give you the packages if you really have a skill. Okay, that's what is okay, so need in the market. Okay, the only thing you have to take care is learning in from this course, and the rest of the things whatever is needed I will take care. And who can adopt this particular course? Okay, so who can adopt this particular course is, so the areas which I talked about, right? So you have build and release guys, you have QA guys, you have middleware guys, you have sysadmins, databases, operations guy. Okay, all these persons, even network engineers also I have seen people are taking it, because network engineers, so they usually less paid, and they work in the operations and all those things, and so that's where they usually paid a little bit less. And yeah, so whatever it is, all these particular teams can adopt this one. Even developers, we have seen a lot of developers taking these particular courses just to understand how operations work, and based on that they tune the development and make the development more efficient. Okay, so developers are also welcome for this particular course. And apart from that, if you are some freshers, so people are there who are recruiting freshers, but you need to, so as I mentioned, it's all about skill in the market. So if you have skill, no doubt it definitely will be getting the job without any issues. Okay, all right, so that's where even for the freshers we have. And if the people are coming from other background, like I see business analytics, some people, and usually these guys, as far as I know. Okay, so some non-IT background also people might come up. So if they are coming, you have to say why I'm actually going here. Okay, so you need to think about that, and based on that, okay, that's your decision. Okay, that cannot be my decision. So why are some people can ask me, can I do this? Okay, can I do this? The question points to you only, not to me. Okay, can I? You have to answer yourself that you can do that or not. Okay, so definitely it is not an impossible thing. It's a simple operations job you do with a little bit common sense. That's all you need to use. Okay, and yeah, definitely you can make it. But coming to our course as well, so we do talk about, as I mentioned, two things in major. So one is DevOps and AWS, and third component also I can say is Kubernetes, but not complete Kubernetes. So Kubernetes is one of the platform which is more happening in the market, so we have separate course for Kubernetes. Okay, so but here also we talk about Kubernetes to only to an extent which we require. So that coming to the tools which we are going to discuss in our course is going to be, okay, we start our course keeping that you are a layman, you don't know anything. We start our course, so starts from basics of Linux and some scripting, shell scripting, and then we'll move on to some, even we'll move on some understanding in the project. Actually, we do talk about some projects in the Linux and shell scripting phase itself, and after that, so we do some automation of our project using shell scripting, and ultimately we'll move on to the configuration management using Ansible. So why Ansible? Ansible is leading in the market. Why not Chef or Puppet? Chef and Puppet, definitely after few years you will not see any more Chef or Puppet. Okay, those days are gone. Okay, so yeah, Ansible is one of the one which is most leading in the market. And our next one is so Git we are going to talk about. GitOps is more we do basically in our course. GitOps is what we do, and we'll talk about more in the classes. And Jenkins, so Jenkins, it's not a simple UI, so just create a freestyle job and say that Jenkins job is done. No, complete Jenkins is automated. Complete Jenkins from the code. Okay, so however, that is how we use it in the companies. Most of the people doesn't teach this. Okay, that's the problem. Okay, when someone comes to the interview to me, I'll simply ask that, okay, so few points on the Jenkins, and that clearly shows me whether the person is a trained person or an experienced person. Okay, so yeah, Jenkins is really important. So I'll take more a lot of time, but definitely, okay, so that times is worth actually to replicate the real-time environment. Okay, and we have a lot of CI tools like Maven, Gradle, Sonar, Nexus, SonarQube. Okay, Selenium we consume, Python we consume, Jira we consume. Okay, Bitbucket, so Bitbucket comes out of Git, but whatever it is, we consume a lot of services out there. Okay, and finally we have our application and application related monitoring like New Relic and ELK monitoring. Okay, ELK is a log aggregation. You have 100 servers out there. I want to get log in one place, so I will use ELK, and as well as individual server monitoring will take care with New Relic, which is a SaaS service. Again, as I mentioned today, SaaS services. So if I talk about Nagios or Javix, okay, I'm pushing you back to few years back. I'm pushing you back to very few years back. Okay, a couple of years back. Basically, I don't want to do that. So let's do it in a latest way. And SaaS services are much happening in the market, and New Relic is one of the one. And on the application world, okay, so we use this probably on the server world they still use Nagios and for server monitoring and things like that. But for our application monitoring, we do best tools, because application is the one which make business out of it. All right, and finally at the end of the session we're going to have Kubernetes with Docker. Okay, a Docker might come in between, but Kubernetes is what we discuss at the end of the sessions with CI/CD. Complete CI/CD will be done on Kubernetes. And the next thing over here is we talk about Amazon Web Services as well. We talk about network services, compute storage services, and development services, and even some miscellaneous services. But again, AWS, if you want to create a server, I think every one of you might be definitely aware of how to create an AWS service, right? You go to the UI, click on that, you get a server. But that's not how the real time works. The real time works on the automation, which is a code. Again, Terraform is what we are going to discuss completely for this particular so services. Okay, so Terraform is what we use. All right, so that is how so we'll be having our AWS services and as well as Amazon. So yeah, so and with this easily you can compete with 3 to 4 years guys of experience if you really learn what actually I'm trying to teach. And as well as, so what are the services which we are going to offer as a part of this particular course? We offer lifetime recordings over YouTube. Over YouTube you are going to get the recording, and it is going to be a lifetime access, and those are going to be the private videos only, okay, which will open only to you but not to everyone, like public, not YouTube public, okay, YouTube private. And we share the content which is required over online. And most of the people ask me whether you provide me whether you provide me the material or not. Okay, I'm not teaching you a school here. Okay, to go with the limited knowledge, don't require, because we are all discussing about tools, and tools have their own documentation, and we'll go there. Even if I provide the documentation, you always follow my documentation, and you miss the features which are coming in the product. See, some or other time, in a very frequent amount of time, if you open their web portal, you'll come to know, okay, something is happening. Okay, so at least you'll come to know about the news as well as the updates, and that is what is needed in the market. You talk about, so few things which is latest in the market, and you get the job. Okay, so you always, so have your own document, and you follow that, and you never look for outside. That's all traditional way. Change it. You have to change it, and I'll enforce you to change that. And whatever is needed, definitely I'll try to share over the online. It's completely GitLab based access, and you'll get the access to that particular content privately. It's not public again. And as well as you can reach out to me if you have any questions during your practice. Okay, so I have a Slack channel, and where you post your question, and I'll try to answer the questions. Okay, so this is what usually we'll have. So this is how it runs. So people will post a question, and I'll try to answer. So he's trying to do something, and I'm saying something. Okay, so he'll try to doing something. Okay, like that. So it's like companies, however they use chat services, we also do the same way. It's like a completely professional and real-time way completely. Okay, and this is what I have for this particular session. But before opening for queries, I just want to show you a simple deployment actually. So Harness is one of the deployment tool which is most happening in the market. Okay, so which is one of the SaaS solution again. And so harness.io, if I just go for harness.io, so this is the website, and this is Indian based company which is originated in Bangalore. And so most of the companies are started using it. Okay, and yeah, so it's super it makes your life super simple in the terms of deployment. All right, and I just want to do the deployment. So currently I have an application. I'll try to put a website here. I'll try to put a website. Where is this? Here it is. And yeah, so a simple sample website I have, and I just want to do sorry. Yeah, so hospital-app.devopsproject.com is what a website I'm trying to hit. I'm not getting anything. All right, so now I'll just go and start doing the deployments, and it's going to provision. Infrastructure is already provisioned. I'm not actually taking care of infrastructure provisioning. Only try to do the deployment in a Kubernetes environment. Okay, so hospital app, and I have a hospital CI/CD why incomplete. So let me go and check that. Yeah, which is fine. Deploy. Yeah, so just go and give. I'm just trying to ask to deploy the version 1. So just click on submit, and it start doing the deployment. So it just takes care of compiling the code. Okay, and so check the testing part of the code, like so doing some minimal checks, whatever it is I have mentioned. And after that so I just want to make a release. You want to make a release. So this is only the CI activity. This is only the CI activity. So from here the deployment part comes into, whether you want to release the application, so then the release comes into picture. You want to do the release, then do the release, then we do the release of the application. That means that the product is ready to do the release, but probably may not really need to do the deployment, but we'll wait for the approval there. And so you can maintain the approvals, so you can maintain the approvals, like this person can maintain, this person can do the approval and things like that. Okay, and yeah, and finally we do the deployment of application, and finally we are going to do the cutover. So once after the cutover is done, so then I would be able to access my application over here. Okay, let's wait to do that. And in the meanwhile, I just want to talk about a few more things. So what we talk about our courses. Okay, I mean generally I was talking about the code, right? So how our course will be. So I just want to give, let's say let's take a GitLab code of previous batch, like So after 38 is completed, 40 is been started, 39 is still going on. So now if I just go for, now let's say Ansible, you take Ansible, it's completely code based, like even I teach or someone teach. So definitely it will be code only, nothing much over here to talk about, but Ansible. And let's say coming to the Terraform or Jenkins, especially Jenkins, just click on Jenkins and you see Jenkins, all our pipeline jobs. Okay, and so you see this, so many Jenkins files are there. If I just click on this and you see a lot of code, this runs the job. And even just go there, okay, come back. Even if I want to create a job, that is also code. So come into the seed job and seed.groovy. So this is also okay completely. So this is student app UI CI, student app infra, student app test, okay, CI/CD, production infrastructure, and so deployment, CD RAM deployment, so which is rolling update, and so which we are going to talk about BG, blue green deployment. Okay, so in our course we are going to achieve two things in major: doing the deployment on servers, doing the deployment on Kubernetes cluster. Doing the deployments is, we are going to do two types of deployments. So there are 6 types of deployments. So deployment strategy deployment process something. So there are a total 6 types of deployment strategy. Yeah, DevOps deployment strategies usually will have 6 types of strategies which you have generally. Okay, so which has its own advantages and disadvantages we'll talk about, but so we usually talk about ramped and blue green. So this is what going to be. All right, so this is, everything is going to be code. Okay, this code is very simple. This is all DSL. You can just by seeing the code, we always think it is very difficult, but code is really easy. It makes your life really easy. If you are doing manual works, code will really make your life easy. Okay, and yeah, so we just try to do the CI/CD, and even coming to the Terraform, it's completely code. Okay, each and every resource we try to create with Terraform and code-based approach. Okay, so that's what, and probably I think it might be waiting for approval. So just click on approve. It just does the release. Yeah, so here also the Terraform is completely production infra, test infra, BG infra. All these are so simply a code doing, and this code is really easy. You can so pull it from if you just read the documentation, you can make that. Okay, it's all DSLs. It's not development. You don't really require a Java guy or a .NET guy, or PHP guy. You need to make this code. No, not really required. Okay, so I don't know the Java code. I don't know the hello world of Java as well. I don't know really. Okay, but yet I'm an engineer doing the job. Okay, so yeah, we don't require all those things. And finally, let this complete, and then we can open for questions. Probably this is done and just waiting. It's going for the approval whether you want to do the deploy. If I don't do the deploy, if I just don't approve, then it will, after the wait time, it just stops there and my CI/CD work is done. That's all. I'll just click on approve to follow the deployment and just do the deployment. I didn't made any complex strategies here. If a deployment is a failure, how to do that. If deployment is successful, what to do next, or things like that is only happening. But if a deployment is failure, how do you revert it back is not I have mentioned over here, but probably in session I can explain you those particular things. So but this is a paid service which allows only 14 days of free license, and that's where we're going to use so at the ending we talk about using this. So deployment of application is successfully done. Okay, and finally cutover is happening. Once after cutover is done, and so we can just go and refresh this particular web page. It's done. Just try to refresh, you will be able to see the application. So earlier I didn't have anything. Okay, so I have my deployment asked to do that, and I do that. Okay, that's all. Okay, so yeah, that's how we usually take care. And if I just put like so admin and what all the databases and everything is needed, everything is being taken care. Okay, so it's a simple application. I just pulled it from GitHub and so making it over here. That's all. Okay, so that is how our course will be driven, completely code-based approach, and the goal is to do the deployment. However, I just clicked on deploy, I also go at the ending, will click on deploy, and everything should happen automatically. Everything should happen automatically. So how does it happen and all is what we're going to discuss. I think that's all from my side. So I have answered most of the questions. So if you have any question, please put your question in the chat, or else you can unmute and you can ask. It's up to you. Okay. Yeah, please.
Hi Raghu, Madhu here.
Yeah, Madhu.
Raghu, the DevOps course starts from how in the real time from where we can start. See, if you start from GitHub, is that the starting point for to start a DevOps, the DevOps process, operation engineer process, or before to start that one, do you need to do anything setup kind of thing? The course will start how we start. If you take a scratch project, so from where we start.
Yeah. So first of all, whenever you enter any company, first thing you have to understand is what is that application. Okay. So and how your application is been working, and you have to understand so the architecture of the application, and you have to understand how the deployment process is happening, and then you start doing the automation. So that's what even we try to do. So we'll understand the application, we understand the business, we understand the application, we try to do the manual efforts, and then we start the automation. So that is how it starts.
Okay.
Any other questions? You can unmute and ask, or else you can put it on the chat as well. It's up to you, but better unmute so that everyone can hear.
Hi Shiva. Hi. Hi Ratan Raj here.
Yes, Ratan Raj.
Actually, my question is that suppose I want to learn dev app engineering. So which programming language is better to, to
Your voice is really breaking.
learn it better?
Yeah, your voice is really breaking. I think your internet
Hello.
connection is a little bit bad. Put your
Hello.
question on the chat.
Hello.
Put your question on the chat,
Hello.
Ratan. Your voice is breaking.
Hi Raghu, Vivek here.
Hey, Vivek, please unmute and talk. Sorry. Yeah, Vivek, go ahead.
Yeah, hi Raghu, Vivek here. Are you getting me?
Yeah, yeah.
Raghu, I have a question here. Are we covering the Python also?
No, Python is not there. We have shell scripting.
All right. So actually, I have seen some, some points of Python. So that's why I'm asking
True,
in your, syllabus. So that's why
true.
you have
So
mentioned some.
my yeah,
Yeah.
my syllabus is not
Yeah.
about
Tell me.
scripting. My syllabus is
Mm-hmm.
about DevOps and related tools. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that Python is not really used. So 4 years back, or 4.5 year back, I used to write hundreds of lines of Python code. From after that, I moved into another job. Until then, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
really using any Python. It all depends upon the project again. Everywhere you doesn't require Python, but adding anything to your profile is good. Please add that. Okay, apart from this course, learn Python as well. It's really good, and it weighs more to your profile as well. Okay, but
So,
I am
so,
actually yeah, I'm
uh-huh. Okay.
actually moving more onto the tools and the deployments
Okay.
process which we do as a job perspective. What we do is what is more discussed in the this course.
So we are not covering any Python at all, right?
We consume Python.
I didn't get you. Actually, your background noise is coming.
We consume Python.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. So we just have an application, and I want to do some API testing, and that's where
Mm-hmm.
we consume Python. But we don't
Okay.
develop it. I just use
Okay.
the
So,
script, existing script. That's all.
so can we use some Python a bit in in Lambda
Yeah,
if
we
you are
will,
using Lambda?
we will, we will.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's important. So that's why I'm asking. Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Hi, Raghu. My name is Mallikarjun. So
Yeah.
basically, I'm from a production support background. I just wanted to, I'm basically, maybe my question is very basic. I just want to know the DevOps engineer or the course, right? It's more centric to dev guys because I just wanted to switch my career to, DevOps, I mean, DevOps role. So whether this course or, the role is relevant to support guys as well, or it's only development centric?
No, this course is not for developers. This course is for operations guy only, and the development operations is what you do. And unless you want to do, or unless you want to die in production support, if I were you, definitely I'll move out. Okay, doing the shifts and so doing nothing in the job. So yeah, I mean, to be specific, okay, this course more suits you because you're not doing any technical thing in your job, and ultimately that might
Exactly.
lead
Yeah.
to some, that definitely at some time you will be a little, vulnerable situation, definitely, right? So better than that, moving on to technology is good thing, and yeah, DevOps is the right one for you.
Yeah, and actually, for like to understand better, or to I mean, do I need to, or like more specifically, work on any other things, other than the course, let's say Unix or Python? Do I need to do any additional learning apart from the course, or whatever you are going to teach in the course is enough at least to start working or practicing?
Yeah, that depends upon the experience actually you're having, and you're coming with 20-year background and say that, okay, I know, okay, basics of Jenkins and things like that, it will not work out. Okay, so I will explain that particular strategy after completing my course. We'll talk about those particular strategies. Yeah, so which experience level, what additionally you need to add, and things like that we'll discuss, but after completing what we have here, at least this is basic.
Okay. Yeah, and when you say Python, you are consuming, like, is it required for us to learn basics of Python by the time we reach that module, or those basics also will be covered as part of this?
So during this course, concentrate on this course. After this course, think about other parts as well. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
First,
Thanks,
this
sir.
one is needed. First, this one is needed, definitely.
Okay. Thanks, sir.
Raghu Kandasamy here.
Yeah.
The market point of view, if I'm into IT support now, and I'm just handling Linux L1 sub Linux stuffs as well. So market point of view, is there is any possible to get a fresher DevOps engineer? Will they
So you're
consider
already
me as a
working.
fresher? Yeah.
Yeah, you will. You're already working. You have to, so convert your resume into a little bit of DevOps you're already working on, and then
Okay.
yes,
Okay.
yeah, it will work.
Yeah, I see lots of advertisements stating that if you can complete this course, you can get a 3 years DevOps engineer knowledge or something like
Generally.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But keeping
okay,
in a mind of like what I expect from 3 years, guys. See, I do a lot of interviews basically, like, frankly saying, and what I
okay,
expect from the people is what I have to try to teach you over here. That's all, as simple as that. And on that particular prospect, as mentioned, like 3 to 4 years of experience is what generally you can keep it on the with completing this particular course. And let's say if a 10-year guy is coming and learning this particular course, he has to bag more things. Okay, so like Python
okay,
scripting and some security tools, some other XYZ. We'll talk about those
okay,
things later, but yeah, so that is how it works.
okay. So which cloud the platform is first in the market right now, the AWS or Azure? I'm already certified with AWS, so I'm just asking whether I need to get some knowledge in Azure as well, or this is
No, it is
fine with
AWS is fine.
AWS.
AWS is fine.
Okay, that's fine. Thanks, Raghu.
Yeah,
Hi Raghu.
yeah.
As you told that it is more suitable to the support guys, the DevOps in it. If we have any little development background, how well this course will be suited?
So as I already mentioned, so if you are a developer guy also, you can use it in two ways. If you want to switch, that is one thing. And second thing is, if you know the operations, so then you can do the better development. So which one you're choosing is your choice, by the way.
Okay.
Hi Raghu, this is Prasad.
Yeah, Prasad.
Earlier you told me told us that you're teaching only some basic parts of Kubernetes. Can you please clarify on that?
See, we can see Kubernetes is a big platform tool, and we don't do administration of the Kubernetes, installations of the Kubernetes, management of the Kubernetes. Okay, and all these things. Even I don't talk about certain insights of Kubernetes in this particular course. So what we try to do is, I have a platform, and see, let's say you're consuming Amazon, and so and I mean, let me ask this way. So, are you working on any technology?
No, no, no,
You're not working on anything, or you learned prior, you have any prior knowledge on anything?
no, nothing.
Hmm, then answering you is difficult. Okay, so basically, like let's say I can just tell it in outside of IT world.
Yes.
Basically, so I'm just taking the electricity, and I'm not really worried about, I'll tell you only, like, so put on this switch, put off this switch to turn on fan, put on this switch to turn on light, or things like that. Okay, but I'm not really telling about how that switch is working. Okay, or to increase the speed, you have something called as, so what we call, to increase the speed of the fan, you have some device there, right? I don't remember. So you have that. Okay, I don't talk about how the things are working out there. I just consume. Okay,
Okay.
so but you go internals to that, I can tell you how switch is working and how that particular so the device is working, how to increase the speed of the fan and things like that. Okay, so that is
Okay.
what the difference between them. Okay, we consume the service, but we don't talk about little background what is happening there. And that's where my Kubernetes course is completely gives as a package that
Okay.
end to end of that particular one will be discussed, to be precise. Yeah.
Is that sufficient for the entry?
See, sufficient is, even this is not sufficient at certain point of time. Okay,
Okay.
to be frankly saying, okay, so whatever I talk about, if you go simply and talk about that, if you don't look outside world, that's really not going to help. Okay, so yeah, so at certain point of time, nothing is sufficient, definitely. At least in this area, nothing is sufficient. But which
Yeah.
gives you an insight of, okay, what is Kubernetes, how to do that. At least you should be in a position to talk. This is this, this is that. Okay, so that we
Okay.
give that particular scope, right?
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
So
Hey Raghu,
hi
just
Raghu.
continue. This is Ashish,
Yeah, hi
and I
Raghu.
just wanted to continue. Uh,
Go ahead, Ashish.
and I just wanted to continue on the about the Kubernetes. Can we do side-by-side courses for the Kubernetes and this course as well? Because if we just want to continue working more on the Kubernetes.
Uh, you can do so, but basically Kubernetes course which I have is always discussed in a keeping in a mind that you already know DevOps. I always use the words that you already know DevOps. So that's the reason sometimes it is going to be a little bit difficult. So I would suggest one after one is better.
All right, thank you so much.
Yeah. And I think you have already asked some questions are there in the chat. Let me go with some questions on the chat. People kept lot many questions. Okay.
Raghu,
So
I have
one
Vivek here.
second.
I have one more.
One second, Vivek, please. So there are a few questions on the chat. People might be waiting those. So here, few questions over here is, what are we going to do the projects? Okay, so we are going to, yeah, as I mentioned, from the day one, we are going to work on the projects only. And so that is what we do. And whereas, okay, so how many projects? So we'll try to complete one particular project. I might give a couple of examples, like, I give you the manual process, application architecture, and things like that. So you can practice using the same tools, whatever we have discussed. Okay, that is how it goes. But for the course, we do only one project to deliver, this particular training. So I will match to as much as possible to the real time. So even though it is a sample application, but we'll try to maintain the standards of the enterprise organization. Okay, real time. And so coming to the next point, next question. Oh, so many questions. Here, how long the duration of the entire training? So it is close to be 2 months. And is there any requirement of lab setup? No, nothing is required. We'll try to talk about those things from regular sessions, which is from tomorrow. And any specific laptop configuration? Nothing. That's okay. And I think, yes, the project is going to integrate with all these particular tools. All the tools, whatever we have discussed about, all those tools will be driven with our project will be driven with those particular tools. Yeah. So go ahead, Vivek.
So actually, hello, are you there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Actually, I was asking like, can we also cover Docker? And if we are covering the Docker, so means how much extent we are covering Docker?
Docker is completely taken care, no issues.
Okay,
But
okay. I mean
Kubernetes is
Docker
what we are.
volume. Okay.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes,
Hello.
Vivek. Yes,
Yeah.
you're audible.
Okay.
You can talk.
Okay. So actually, we are covering all the topics of Docker, right?
Yeah.
Including Docker Swarm, Docker networking.
No, no, no. Docker Swarm. Why Docker Swarm? We are talking about Kubernetes. So different types of
No,
orchestrations are
actually,
there. No, no, no. You
Okay.
need to understand my point. First, listen. So there are different types of orchestrations which you have. Docker Swarm is one, Kubernetes is one, OpenShift is one. Okay, so
Yes.
PCF Cloud Foundry. You have so many orchestrations. We're not going to then the
Mhm.
path of Docker Swarm. Docker is different. Docker
Actually,
Swarm is different.
yeah. I know the
Listen,
difference, but
listen.
actually, I'm
Let
asking cause hello, just give me 2 minutes, please. Actually,
yeah.
I'm asking cause means if we are learning Kubernetes, so first we means we have to learn Docker Swarm, and and the difference between then we know the difference between Docker Swarm and Kubernetes. So that's why I was asking.
No, that is really not needed. Okay,
Okay,
so
okay.
which you can directly go into the Kubernetes. Any orchestration is fine to do your job.
Uh-huh.
And behind the scene, it is Docker. We talk about Docker plus orchestration, which we are going to cover is Kubernetes, not Swarm, because again, it's all my syllabus is completely replicated into the market. Okay, if you look into the market numbers, so Kubernetes is more than your Docker Swarm.
Yeah.
And features
Okay.
wise, Kubernetes is more having more features than Docker Swarm. So
Mhm. Okay.
better Kubernetes than that.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions?
Raghu Prakash here actually.
Yeah,
I have
Prakash.
two more questions actually. So you said
Yeah.
actually that I mean, so in the market we have the Bitbucket also, right? So the in the place of Jenkins actually, sorry, GitHub
No.
actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what was the difference actually? So which one is best for us actually? Is GitHub or Bitbucket actually to learn actually?
Both are simple tools only. UI tools. You don't need to worry about much on that particular area. Okay. So
Okay,
what is the difference between Yahoo Mail and Gmail? So both serves your purpose, and you have your own um, and
repositories, right?
yeah, so own features basically. Okay, and ultimately everything will have same features. So in
Okay.
probably in Gmail you have a compose button. In Yahoo Mail you'll have a new button to send out a new email. That's how. So fundamentally the options will remain same. The UI looks a little bit different. Okay, no need to worry on that particular.
Okay. In this course, we are doing the automation, right? So the codes will be right on the which language actually, shell or I mean, I don't understand. You showed me
So
in the some codes, right? So while doing some automation on the AWS actually, so the codes are written on which language actually?
so here we use scripting, not languages. Languages are not really, development is not really required. So every tool offers their own scripting, like, so shell offers shell scripting. And so how we, so, so let's say Jenkins offers its own DSL, Terraform offers its DSL. So we'll just consume them and it's a tool specific language. It's not like, so it's a generic language. It's a tool specific and it's simple only, not much.
Yeah, that's what actually I'm trying to understand the how I learn actually. Suppose
I'll
after
teach
I
it.
did,
I'll
okay,
teach it. That is why I'm here, right? I'll teach it.
okay, 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 got it. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions?
Hi Raghu, is the Saturday also session is available?
Yeah, it's Monday to Saturday.
Okay.
And what will be the timings for the training? Is it the same, 8 to 9:30 or
No,
10?
no. It's actually 6 a.m. in the morning, 6 a.m. IST to 7:30.
Okay. Will you be providing some assistance to crack the interviews with related to
Yeah,
DevOps and AI roles?
yeah,
Some,
yeah.
yeah. Okay.
We will. Yeah, yeah. Any other questions?
Raghu,
Yeah,
one more question. What was the
yeah.
timing? Morning or evening
Morning,
actually?
morning 6 a.m. IST, 6 a.m. in the
Oh,
morning.
okay.
Yeah, Kishore. Hello, Kishore. Trying to say something? So any other questions?
Hey Raghu, what are the charges? I didn't get that in the email,
So
so just
yeah,
confirm.
so the organizers will get back to you, no issues. Any technical, I can talk.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Raghu, just wanted to know, like, on post the completion of the course, whether any placement assistance or any, any job opening referral, I mean, kind of help you can provide post the completion of the course.
Job referral, why you someone want to do your referral? So you put your market in profile. If someone needs, they'll come to you, right? Why someone needs to do that? That's really not needed. Okay, so yeah, that's really not at all required. And whereas coming to the second one, so which is about preparing the interviews, still to there, we can help you on that. So no difference.
Actually, Raghu, we are not in up to the level. So market, hello, so
Yeah,
that
yeah,
we
go
can
ahead.
put our so that we can put our profile to in markets, and and the companies will call us. We are not up to that standard. So yes, after completing this 2 months course, yes, we can say like this.
Yeah.
So that's why we need some referral from you guys.
Not required, still not required. And so 2 months is not enough for you to complete this particular course. 2 months is what I give you the course, and after that, definitely to come onto the level, definitely you have to take so 2 more months to practice and so get confidence on the thing, then update your resume. Yes, of course, then you can confidently say that someone ask, I know this and this is how I do
Actually,
it.
I'm primarily working, in some DevOps tools, and and having some prior DevOps knowledge. So that's why I was asking. Like,
Mhm.
okay, okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, any other questions?
Can we get some comparisons to the other market tools, DevOps tools that we use along with this whatever we are studying as part of this training, right? So that might be useful if in case because different companies are asking different. I mean, they might be using different tools, right? So
Yeah,
if we
yeah.
can get some comparison, that might be useful.
True, true. Yeah, true. So what you do is, see, once you know the tool and once you know a tool working in one area, learning another tool is not really that big, that much difficult. And these are tools. So companies changes from tool to tool usage, right? So, but what we design the syllabus is, so based on the market analytics. So, you know, um, based on the market analytics, so usually we'll have, I mean, we have made this particular syllabus, that's all, which are highly used tools. I cannot, so there are, let's say, 150 plus tools, we cannot cover each and everything, right? So yeah, on that perspective, it's always good if you learn something else. You should not stop learning. So even I or you, so we should not stop learning, you should not relax.
Raghu, this is
Yeah,
again Prakash here actually.
yeah,
So
yeah.
after I complete this course actually, so if I want to the self practice, so do I get any document or something to remember everything? Because it's
Video,
again if I
video
get video, I will get.
recording plus lifetime recording plus the documentation to you. Yeah.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Recording itself is a document you can understand for reference, and whatever the code needs to be shared, we'll share with you the code as
Okay, thank you.
Raghu, actually, we are covering GitLab or GitHub.
well. So, see, the UI is anything is fine. We cover Git to be precise.
GitLab or GitHub. Hello.
That's what Git is. What I talk about. Either UI can be anything. Doesn't matter.
Oh, all
So
right. No, no. We are covering. Actually, I want to know. Really, I want to know. GitHub or GitLab. So that's
no,
why
okay. The
I'm
tool wise
asking
we
what
cover.
I will make my account. I'll make
Whatever
setup.
is,
Okay, thank you. I understand.
yeah, whatever is needed, we'll talk about. But Git is what we talk about. But utility wise, yeah, GitLab is what the one I show for merging and other strategies, and as well as Bitbucket as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. All right. No questions. We can wrap it up, and we can meet in tomorrow's session. And in tomorrow, we're going to discuss, so the basics of what we need to be done in the session. Okay, or like basics of things which we're going to start, and then we'll start with the Linux, and then we'll move on. Okay, all right, thank you, and have a great weekend, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you. Bye.